This week on Lose a Turn, we usurp the throne from Chuck. We are one happy accident away from Mattcast. My sweet, sultry tones all day, every day.
Nobody wants any of that. Nope. This week on Lose a Turn, we teach our co-hosts how to properly assassinate each other. Step 1, don't leave duct tape under the suspended piano. Gives it away, dude. We also discuss mad scientists and even more maddening science, and we welcome the Rocket Man into our Hall of Fame. I was going to quote some Elton John lyrics here, but I don't got it. I just figure out where the camera is. We have a dream, we have an agenda, and we clearly just want to watch the world burn in a blazing ball of anarcho-nerd culture. It's Lose a Turn. Welcome to it. Greetings and salutations. I'm your host, Chuck Mullins, and I am on site with Matt Herring this week. We're going to attempt to do a two-host, one-mic, so we apologize ahead of time if there's any audio quality snafus, but we're going to do our best. We also have a group of kids outside playing a game I can only describe as Let's Throw Rocks at Slightly Larger Rocks. So, as per usual, the universe is against us. Jack, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a little warm here, so I think we're gonna look like we're under interrogation in about 15 minutes, and I don't know.
You know, the sweat's already starting on my forehead, and I've just been blaming Chuck this entire time, but it probably does have more to do with the light that's immediately under my...
Hey, now, you just attempted to kill me, and then you almost gave me a compliment?
Well, I mean, the pheromones definitely have something to do with it.
I even turned myself on. So at the beginning of the show, I made a really terrible Rocket Man reference, a song by Elton John, who, of course, if you're listening to this, you're an Elton John head as well. Okay, maybe not. Mad Mike Hughes is, a little bit crazy. He believes that the Earth is flat. Oh, fuck, man. I don't even know where to start with this dude. He's built a rocket in his own backyard.
Mad Mike, so did that come from...
I don't know. It's just his moniker. He's kind of a daredevil backyard scientist dude. Limo driver full-time, making about $15 an hour, so he needed a little bit of help in getting his homemade rocket built. So he started a Kickstarter, and it raised, I think, $317 out of the proposed $20,000. So this time he just claimed he was a flat earther and got all of their support and reached like $8,000 of his $20,000 goal, and that was enough to get him to actually be able to build this thing.
Oh wait, so this guy's actually leaving the atmosphere. He's going out there, he's gonna look at the curvature of the Earth and come back and be like, no, it wasn't there.
No, he's going to the flatmosphere. He's gonna hit that ceiling on the
dome. He's straight to the dome.
Straight to the dome.
All right.
He was supposed to be launching yesterday, as far as this recording is concerned, on Saturday. His launch location is a ghost town called Atmos or something. Not Atmos, that's way too fitting. However, the BLM and FFA said he doesn't have the rights to be able to actually perform this at this location. So he's had to move it to Tuesday, where instead of launching over this ghost town, he'll be launching from within the ghost town, it would seem.
So this is a problem with... He was trying to launch from public land, and that was public airspace that he could not go over?
I'm not sure if it's a matter of airspace or not. Now, the ghost town that he's launching over is owned by a single person, and that person's like, absolutely do this. We need the fame and the stuff that comes from someone exploding their dumbass over a ghost town. This isn't the first time Mad Mike's either launched himself from a home-built rocket either. 3 years ago, he did it.
Oh, he's got experience.
He's got experience in exactly what it's like to be an exploding rocket with a broken parachute. It was a crash landing in which he was pulled from the wreckage, and a couple years later, he's ready to do it again.
This sounds like exactly the kind of person the Flat Earth Society needs.
Absolutely. I bring up the Rocket Man name again because there's a lyric in the song that says, something. Let me bring this up here. And all this science I don't understand. I just do my job 5 days a week. I'm a rocket man. This is rather fitting for Mike Hughes and his philosophy, because he himself states, I don't believe in science. I know about aerodynamics and fluid dynamics and how things move through the air, about the certain size of rocket nozzles and thrusts, but that's not science. That's just a formula. There's no difference between science and science fiction. After this, he plans on running for governor, by the way.
Oh, no. Jesus. I'm wondering if this guy just had this notion in his head from when he was a kid listening to Elton John's Rocket Man, just like, that's going to be me one day. Like, that is what he, like, strived to be.
It is oddly descriptive.
That's true. Very, very, very likely, in fact.
So, all right. We've got a guy who says he doesn't believe in science. So he must be conflating the dogmatic Church of Science with which is generally a political lean, and dogmatism is saying stuff despite the actual facts or being unwilling to bend to evidence. So when I say that, there have been certain scientific elements in politics that on both sides someone says this is a science, but there is evidence to conflate to go against it. And people do not actually... They keep on saying the same old rhetoric. This guy clearly is practicing some form of science through his formulas and math. He's looked at observations. He's tried to understand how to... He's applied a scientific method to create a better trailer trash can rocket. And... Yet he says he doesn't believe in it. That doesn't sound like most of the flat earthers I've heard about.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like we said, his first campaign raised all of $317.
Right.
He didn't mention one iota of to prove Earth is flat. Then all of a sudden he goes on these talk shows saying, oh, I'm a flat earther. I've been studying it and researching it for months. So,
wait. So he's not... My understanding is that he was going to the dome, we're talking 15,000 feet in the air.
No, 1,800 feet.
1,800.
That's where he's going. 1,800 feet in the air, and that's going to prove the Earth is flat.
Okay, so go ahead, Jack.
I need to take a second here, because this shit has annoyed the hell out of me for so long. Can we all just be in agreement that this whole flat earth bullshit is just a phase just to annoy other people? These people don't actually believe that the earth is flat, do it. I mean, like, please don't.
I mean, it could be that this is just a counter campaign to upset all of the fake moon landing theorists, because it's taken the wind out from under their sails for sure.
Oh, can you imagine how pissed off they are? They've been going for years saying, no, we didn't actually land on the moon. They were just trying to bankrupt Russia. Here's our evidence. Why would a government agency delete all the original footage so we can't go back and look at it, et cetera, et cetera. And how did they actually get out of the Orion's belt? It sounds kind of specious. Now... flat earthers come around and they can raise $300,000 for some no-name guy who's going 1,800 feet in the air.
But okay. It's only 8,000 they raised.
Oh, 8,000.
No, I think I
more
also...
than any false moonlander could.
That's true. Yeah, B.O.B. didn't have that much luck on his campaign. Now, the other thing about it is, if my sources are correct, and they very rarely are, during the radio, like it was some podcast or talk show he was on for these flat earthers, and at the beginning of it, he began talking about how, we already know no one's put a man on the moon. So he himself is a fake moonlander theorist, and I think that may have frustrated the host, but by the end of it, the host is just saying, go ahead and support him, and let's help this happen, because we need someone who's at least not controlled by the government to help us achieve this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to see people actually do this. Let's fund it by making a reality TV show about it. I would watch the hell out of this.
I would never not watch that. That's
How many negatives was that?
enough. The exact correct amount.
Not.
Never not watch it would be okay. I stand corrected.
Okay, stop the grammar. So we've talked about this on a previous episode that we'll probably never see the light of day. 1,800 feet is not enough to prove anything. In fact, a plane flies at, I think, 18,000 feet. No, 39,000 feet, roughly. That's about the average. And you still can't see the curvature of the Earth from a plane. There is a slight curved nature to the glass to prevent fracturing in those extreme pressure differences between the cabin and the exterior. So you might think you see a curve, but you're actually not high enough to perceive it based on the specification of our human eye.
Now, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Matt, are you a flat earther? It sounds like something a flat earther would
absolutely
say.
Not. Well, okay, there's a name here, and I'm not going to remember it. There was a very interesting paper that came out, I think, in the 80s, from an author who was working with MIT for a lot of his research into his science fiction novels. This author actually wrote a very long, very detailed paper that was fascinating, and it has been celebrated by scientific communities. Basically, the point of this paper is, at one time we thought the Earth was flat. Were we wrong? Just barely. Because as far as anyone can tell, the curvature of the Earth is so little, because it's so big, over a human relative distance, that the curvature almost does not matter at all. And so just barely being wrong really is enough to make a massive difference in the physics that we're trying to observe in the universe.
Right.
So I would say I'm a flat earther from that perspective, but only that again, I do not want anyone to soundbite that. Please do not.
I think we found our bumper for this episode.
Oh my god. Why did I say that? Let's just move on. I will never recover from this if I keep talking.
I assume if he's able to launch on Tuesday, that our Rocket Man will be able to see the skyline of the entire planet just from that one flat location. And he may observe just how much artificial light there is these days and how it's pretty much eaten up all of the darkness. There is no night anymore in so many different areas of the Earth. And this is kind of a huge issue.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Each
this
year,
is the real conspiracy.
Each year, there's about a 3 to 6% increase in the number of lights that are viewable from space that we've never been to, all over the world. And the other scary part about this is that in already densely populated areas and metropolitan areas, a lot of the lights are also changing over to blue LED or LED technology. So that's not, while not being observable from space, it is still creating local light pollution. This means that several species of animals that are nocturnal are all sorts of going fucking nuts, and they aren't able to... They're being affected by this. The human brain is being impacted by this because we need that nighttime to produce certain chemicals and to keep our bodies well balanced. And the light pollution is preventing us from doing our normal human thing. And it's driving everyone crazy. The reason anyone is crazy on this planet right now is due to light pollution.
Well,
maybe.
I mean, you never know.
I posit
there is a rise in systemic illnesses in our society, so possibly we are noticing more LED lights around that have more of a blue wavelength, which our eyes are not geared to see very well. Blue wavelengths put a lot of strain on your eyes. They also inhibit the production of melatonin in your brain. I've read other thoughts that suggest serotonin is inhibited by those blue wavelengths as well. And melatonin and serotonin have the same base chemical for production. So it might just inhibit that entire gland, which is it the hypothalamus? Probably not. Don't quote me on that. I think it's the pituitary. Jack, do you have a Samsung phone?
Yes.
Right now? Do you have that blue light filter on it?
I think, is that what happened to me last night? My phone died. I plugged it in, and everything was kind of like really like vibrant, like white or bluish, and then just all toned into yellow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the blue light filter.
And
I was
so,
like, what the hell just happened?
So there's an automatic setting to turn off the blue light that's emanating from your screen when you're trying to lie down and go to bed, because that stops preventing the production of melatonin. It lets you get into a more natural sleep while you're staring at your phone, which you shouldn't be doing before bed anyway.
Right.
But it is really fascinating to think of the effect of light on humans, especially when we understand so little about our sleep cycle in the first place.
And I mean, the impact again of this disappearance of the night goes so far to where we're impacted just how it affects the behavior of nocturnal animals. 30% of vertebrates and 60% of invertebrates are nocturnal. Many of them are responsible for cross-pollinating and, taking seeds from one area, putting it over here, and making this whole process of life for several types of plants even occur. So this is going to affect plant life, animal life, human life, everything.
So there is this dangerous balance of ecosystems that we have to deal with when we try to curate nature. Famously, Yellowstone had this just meltdown of its ecosystems when I think it was Teddy Roosevelt got himself involved in trying to save and preserve Yellowstone. And they basically said, hey, let's not kill the wolves anymore for such and such reason. Well, the wolves... I could have this backwards. The point of it is, whatever they stopped killing, whatever they tried to protect, just started devastating the landscape through their overpopulation. And because of the lack of a predator or a lack of food, it chased out the other animals. And it wasn't until we stopped involving ourselves in that way and tried to start mirroring how the Indians had managed those environments that the Yellowstone started trying to return to its natural order. The point of this is suggesting these lights can actually, as we move from things like incandescent lights to LEDs, and we have less infrared, we might have a profound effect on bacterias and molds, and I don't know which is going to be better for them, but that's going to affect plant life, which is going to affect animal life. This could be heavy. In fact, it could have more dramatic results than global warming, faster than global warming would, or climate change would have an effect on our environment.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I think there have been mentions about viral life forms, or VIRS. I'm not sure what that is.
I thought VIRS was a technology used by NASA to determine the level of light pollution.
Possibly.
I think that's what that VIRS
I could be wrong
is.
on that. Okay.
But I mean, yeah, there's suggestions that this is also heavily linked to psychological and physical disorders, from depression to diabetes. So, I mean, you can see the trend in like the increase of insanity and other mental disorders over the last few years, or last several decades. Sometimes it's something that's so far out of our control that, no one thing can be blamed. Other times, there's a clear fucking reason someone's crazy. And this week I'd like to point my finger back to our friends in Japan, who last week brought us Family Romance, where you can hire your friends and loved ones and all that craziness. I thought that was going to be the... Japan recently did a real-life Truman Show, in which a young comedian was invited to come on and try out. Do this tryout, and if it works, and if you win this little game we've made for you, you will be famous. You will be launched into your successful career as a comedian. And in short, they were kind of being honest, but they bring on our, what was it, Eggplant Man, I think was his pseudo nickname because of his elongated face. They invite him into a room with nothing but, I think, like a TV, a ton of magazines, and for the first few days, water and bread. He was then told that if he needed to eat anything, he'd have to win it from a sweepstakes.
Now, I saw this too, and he was immediately told to strip down, correct?
Oh, yes, yeah, he didn't have any clothes.
Away from him?
I believe the clothes weren't there. Yeah, I don't think he had that option. Anything from the first couple of days on where they were at least giving him that water and bread, anything from that point on that he needed, he had to win from a sweepstakes from one of the magazines in his room. And this whole time, he was being filmed, but also being told he had to change the tape in the tape player every day whenever it ran out. So he's there by himself, recording himself, signing up for up to 300 sweepstakes a day to get food or any other item for this single room that he was living in.
Now, just to place this at the right time era, because you're talking about videotapes and sweepstakes, I mean, this was, I think, 98, whenever this started? And it went on to, like, 02?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. It did start in 98.
It's probably about a 19-month span.
Yeah.
And he spent what I believe to be a year in this room. And finally, at the end of the year, they let him out and said, wow, you did such a great job. We want to take you for a little trip. And they fly him to South Korea, where immediately they bring him to an apartment that looks eerily like the one he just spent the last year of his life in and said, okay, if you want to get home, you have to win a ticket from a sweepstakes in one of these magazines. And it started all over again. This time, I believe it was 4 months.
Well, according to the article, it wasn't just wasn't to take him on a trip. It was because apparently reporters found out where he was located, and they had to pretty much kind of kidnap him take him to South Korea.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought. Okay.
I hadn't heard that aspect of it, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So they flew him out there as if he had won. He enjoys the
That's
scenery
why what they
for a
told
day, and then they're like, "Okay, here's your hotel room for the night." Oh, psych, yeah. No, you actually have to win your tickets home, or you're stuck here.
And it was another 4 months of that. And, I mean, again, this dude is naked, and the only thing he has are sweepstakes in order to gain any other assets. He clearly kind of started going a little bonkers, during his first stint. Repeatedly, like, beating himself off out of boredom, and just doing kooky, crazy shit. And, like I said, these were being aired. And even, like, ramen commercial came, like, there was a ramen commercial produced from the footage of him being crazy and eating ramen and all this other stuff. He had made headlines and become a famous household name at this point, but he had no clue of it. So after he leaves South Korea, they bring him back to Japan and put him right back there in another room. He just strips himself, sits down, he knows the drill, and then all the walls collapse open, and he's in the middle of a giant celebration. The full theater is sold out, and people are just clapping and happy to see him, and he's naked and frightened. He looks feral almost. I mean, they took this man and gave him psychological torture for the better part of a year and a half, if not 2 years. And his career was gone. There was nothing for him. He was a different person at that point in time. And no one cared about his line of comedy. They cared about the Truman Show kind of aspect and that character. And I don't know, it's just so evil almost. I don't know. I mean, they destroyed this man's life as far as I can fucking tell.
Now, in fairness, he agreed to this. And he is quoted as saying, when asked, why did you do it? The door was unlocked. You actually could have walked out at any time. And when asked that, he said, I'm a man of my word. I said I would do it, so I did it. And I don't know where to draw the line here. I don't want to rob this man of his agency. He made choices that perhaps were not the healthiest for his psyche, but he did do it. And I'm amazed there haven't been more opportunities for a man like this. He's got an amazing amount of devotion. If we were in a position to hire someone, I'd say let's call this guy up, because he's going to work his ass off for years, no matter how medial or whatever. He's going to make us excellent.
So great. He'll be a nice cog in the machine, but the reason for him being willing to do this was because he wanted to be a comedian for his life. He wanted to get launched onto that career and was told, do this, you get this. And it ended up killing his career.
It sounds like he'd be a great fit for this podcast. We get a comedian on here.
Finally someone funny. That'd be great.
It is extremely bizarre to kind of, I mean, like, I was reading about it, and sure, he had after the show and everything had ran, that he had a little bit of, fame and attention from the media, but then, I mean, that really quickly died off into nothing. And like you said, he doesn't have a career anymore.
I mean, I think he was a shell of a man at that point, and maybe he could have made some decisions at that point that would have sustained his career, but I think that what was left of him mentally, I mean, where do you go from there?
Now, based on the words I've heard from this man afterwards, and I have not sought out many, there was clearly a profound change, but he seems like he still had quite a bit of strength to him. Like, surprisingly, after all of that. And it's almost as if, it came off to me almost as if he decided it wasn't for him to pursue the same thing he initially wanted. He had been changed at that fundamental level that being a comedian and standing up in front of people for their entertainment was not as important as it once would have been. So, there were quotes saying that he now feels like he lives a happier, more fulfilled life. He appreciates things in ways he did not before. So, drawing this line between mental health and, maybe it is severe, I don't know, not Stockholm, but you go through that level of trauma and you can only react positively to it, or you're going to be destroyed.
I mean, I suppose you're right. However, I feel that there is an obligation to taking care of the man who entered this whole situation with the hopes of becoming a comedian. Now, I understand you're saying, and now perhaps he's better for it. His priorities have changed.
Well, not just that. I am saying he had agency in making that decision, and he could have walked out the door at any point. Yet he chose to stick with it. So at what point do you start saying, I know better than you, I need to take care of you?
I think now, and I think that it is our responsibility as the onlookers to fix him. And we now have the science in place to be able to fix him. If something changed in his brain and comedy is no longer his passion, we now have artificial intelligence implants we can use to bump up that funny and get him back onto his comedy path. It's our obligation to fix him.
It sounds more like you're saying to me that we can actually see controls and maybe manipulate, tweak things to see how he would react if his brain were slightly different in its responses.
You are clearly an evil mad scientist. No, I'm not saying let's perform experiments. I'm saying let's fix him. Let's rebuild him. Let's make him better.
Evil mad controller by wanting to change who
just
he
setting
is
things right.
Now.
No, I'm
right by whose standards? He made his choices to get where he is.
Clearly he makes bad choices.
How are you going to fix
We're only making plans for Nigel. I mean, that is literally what we are doing here.
Come on, tell me how you're going to fix him.
Well, there's artificial intelligence implants you can put in the brain that'll take a read of what's going on. Segue. And, if it's noticing that your happy juices are a little bit dry, we can just ramp that back up for you. And it's not like there's a little button saying, oh, press this for more happiness, because clearly we can't be trusted to have this technology in our head and not just, ooh, happy all the time. So the artificial intelligence will read your brain and decide what you need and help you be better and fix you.
That's creepy.
That's terrifying.
It's fantastic. It's what we've needed this whole time.
You call me evil? You call me the mad scientist? You're gonna let AI tell me how I should feel.
It would probably prevent you from trying to kill me before the episode. So yes, progress.
How is the world going to experience Mattcast then? You are depriving the world of something right now.
You're welcome, world. I'm helping you each and every day. And
So, go ahead.
no, I mean,
This kind of reminds me of in a weird way of that episode of Doctor Who where feelings are like drugs. You essentially buy a certain feeling as a sticker and you place like a patch.
Yeah.
You place it on yourself to feel that feeling.
Sure.
It's so creepy.
So we're actually, this technology not only is in place, it is now being used in human test environments. We are now at the point we are testing this on living human beings.
Last week we had... What did we have last week? The monitoring to make sure you took your damn medicine, and now we've got, like, you know, who needs medicine? Let's just manipulate your brain to pump hormones all over the place.
Okay, I withdraw anything I said about this being a good idea. I just realized that this is being funded by the U.S. military. This is going to be used for so many good things.
Now it's different.
Crap.
I see how it is.
Oh, man, I got no conviction.
Yeah.
You know, okay, if this doesn't work, if we can't fix Mr. Eggplant by poking the right parts of his brain and fixing that, we might be able just to get him a whole new brain. And if he doesn't like being called Mr. Eggplant anymore, we can fix that as well. All we have to do is a simple head swap.
You know what, though? I do want to go back to that real quick.
Sure.
The head swap thing interests me, but if I can voluntarily go in and say, I'm feeling anxious right now, I need to work on writing a program, developing the website, you know, let's tweak that a little bit. Let me turn a dial, and all of a sudden, I mean, that's better than taking Adderall to me. I would be down for that. If I had control of it and I didn't think someone was going to hack into it, which is another scary thing.
just
how do you communicate with this device in your head?
Well, you set a password and you don't leave the password on a sticky note on your chest, for starters.
Okay.
I would recommend maybe using a special character. People like exclamation points, so let's make strong passwords. Yeah, you'll be safe. You'll be safe with this electronic device controlling your brain chemistry.
How do I trust that someone didn't leave Telnet enabled with default username and passwords?
I mean, that's probably... Oh, God. A, that's bound to happen. B, of course, the NSA is going to have a backdoor. I mean, these are just... This comes with the territory. It's technology.
So what you're telling me is one day I'm just going to go eat someone's face and it's going to be blamed on the bath salts.
No, because we're going to increase your hacking skill through our own device, and you'll be able to hack the hackers first and then turn off their ability to...
The only way to get rid of this, now that it's in my head, because I wanted a little bit of an anxiety relief, is to get a head swap, a head transplant.
That works too, yeah. Swap your head with the hacker who would have tried to hack you. And just
at that point, he's hacking
one
himself.
step ahead. Always keep them guessing.
Going into a brave, new, complicated as fuck world.
This is going to be the only thing that allows us to stand up against the robots. We'll have to have our own mechanical brains outwit theirs first.
Wait, did you do robots?
I said robots.
Robits.
Robots. What's the
difference? Is this a Ghost in the Shell pun? Is that what you're going for?
Oh, unintentionally, I guess it is one. So Dr. Sergio Cordovera or whatever, mad scientist like no fucking other, made headlines recently for swapping the head of a monkey with another monkey. It was dead to begin with, so no surprise there was no survivors.
The real miracle would have been if there was a survivor.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So he did, from what I understand, actually performed this surgery last week on a human. Maybe two humans have to be involved. I don't think you can cut off the head and put the same one back on. That's not really effective. And with the powerful use of scientific tools, which I assume is like duct tape and some Gorilla Glue, was able to attach a different head onto a body, connect the spinal cord, and be able to stimulate portions of the brain and get, motor reactions from the limbs. So, as far as he's concerned, this is a success. Now, and he believes confidently that this is something we need to know how to do because it's imperative.
That is fascinating from the perspective that he clearly was able to reconnect neurons, a neuron network from the brain down to the body, and those things are tiny.
I had heard about this guy sometime last year, and how he was going to perform this surgery. I wasn't aware that he had already done it now, but this is something I discussed with a friend of mine at one point, and I just can't imagine if there was somebody to successfully get a head transplant onto like a new body. I just imagine if you wake up, you're gonna wake up going insane, and you're gonna be just mind-boggling like crazy after that. Because I feel like it's such a weird experience to know that your head has been detached and placed onto a new body. I feel like that
will prevent the ability for your body to create that flight or fight and fear by implanting the AI and turning that volume down. So they'll just be giddy as all get up. Whatever. That's a saying, right?
Giddy as all get up?
Sure. That's exactly how you'd feel after your successful head transplant. Now, see, I'm kind of confused. Like, if you're dead and then you're undead, you're brought back to life through a successful transplant, you can't provide consent for the surgery while you're done dead, and you may not have the opportunity to do it beforehand. So do we have to have, like, on our IDs, yes, please swap head as needed? And do you need 2 IDs when you wake up? One for your upper portion, one for the lower portion?
There is actually a legal question here of if you sign a waiver, yes, like donate my body to science, can they actually give your head away or your body away to it?
See, I don't think they want to give someone's dead head away to replace it on their body, because that's just a dick move. That's just a total dick move.
Hold on.
What do we do with the spare heads of broken bodies? Well, fuck it. Let's put those together. Those will be fun.
No, but at a certain point, that other person is now more you than they were them, and so legally, you have to determine where the person resides. Do we just go ahead and say the brain, or? But that
yes, because if I woke up with a different body,
accurate.
I'm still gonna remember everything that I was. I'm still gonna think I'm the same person, I would imagine.
But there's also that common trope in television where if you get an arm replacement or something like that, now that arm has its own agency still and is its own will, and you can't really control it. As an example.
So, all right, there's a certain thought, and we don't know how the brain works. We don't know how individual cells work. There do seem to be layers of consciousness. There's some really strange things that go on, and so I don't know. Has there ever been an arm transplant, or like a full like we've had organs,
but a full successful limb transplant?
Those are generally involuntary organs that are transplanted. Things that we don't have direct, I guess, lungs or something, but still primarily involuntarily. It would be interesting to see what happens, like how quickly you can gain dexterity. Can you gain dexterity? Do you carry over these ghost feelings of your old digits with a new hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is an existing procedure, and donors are brain dead, and they're known donors, so I think they take the hand from the living brain dead person and then just jam that and screw that onto the wrist of Captain Hook.
That's a legitimate thing.
It's what it's looking like. It says that it typically lasts 8 to 12 hours. The surgery.
I know tons of people that like missing fingers, missing hands, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a major problem for diabetics is that they'll have to go get certain organ, like a leg amputated or something like that. Like you're telling me they could get maybe a transplant instead.
Well, as of 2008, there's been a decrease in how often this surgery is performed due to drug-related side effects, uncertain long-term outcome, and the high cost of surgery, rehabilitation, and immunosuppression.
There is something going on like that we're not. But, I mean, it may just be blood type variations and things like that, but...
And, I mean, there was something I'm reading here about a 1-year survival rate of the transplanted hands, so it looks like your body, probably due to, like, the DNA, isn't able to really recreate that. It's not...
Oh, yeah.
You aren't going to be able to recreate your hand in the place of the donor hand.
You can do it with an involuntary organ, like a heart or a lung. Those don't fail often. So this is fascinating. The other part that's terrifying to me is the idea that, we still don't know how anesthesia works. Anesthesiologists they're kind of the foremost experts with on consciousness in the world, in some ways, because they deal with turning it on and off, and they have no idea how that process actually happens. There's some speculation, but no solid hypothesis or founded theory. So when you're doing something this intense, what happens to your consciousness when it's rebooted? If it's even possible. It very well may be impossible to ever turn your head back on once it's on a new body.
I imagine it would probably be a similar thing to transplanting your brain into a cyborg body. I mean...
Okay, alright.
I don't know. Maybe we need to, okay. I propose that we brew an antidote to our recently discussed Angel's Athema toadstool. And once you get your head transplant on, we just erase your DNA and then give you the antidote. And then whatever DNA shakes up at the end, that's what you're set with and you're good to go.
Are you talking like some Dragon Ball Z Saiyan or Frieza healing chamber that just fills up with your own synthetic DNA and your body absorbs it to help you recover quicker?
Sure, that and a big bowl of Ginzu beans and you're good to go.
I can't find a solid argument against this.
Science!
Other than the fact that it's Senzu bean.
Zenzu. Yeah. Fuck. I was like, not this, not that, not this. Nope, that one's not right. I'm just gonna fucking go for it. I fell flat on my fucking face.
Perhaps we can just rest our laurels on the idea of Frankenpansy. There's probably a better name for that.
Is that a breakfast cereal that I'm unaware of?
No, I'm talking about that monkey whose head was reattached.
Oh.
Even though he didn't survive, one day that might happen. And if there is a Frankenstein, the first one does need to be a chimpanzee.
Now, this makes me... I guess we're really not that far off from being able to clone someone and then replace their head with their own head from the clone or the body. You should be able to just clone me, and I wake up one day, I'm like, oh, hey, now I'm a good Chuck, but Chuck Prime is the one in need of surgery, so they're like, okay, thanks, take a quick nap, behead me, and then swap Chuck Prime onto Chuck Clone's body.
Okay. So that's why this head transplant surgery is important.
Yeah. Over time, you think it'd get a little old storing bodies of your dead clones everywhere. Maybe? Did I say boring?
We've got another use for the Boring Company now.
Ah.
Got those extra bodies. I don't know, dig a tunnel. Why are we this morbid?
Yeah, that's a good fucking question. I think it's time for us to continue explaining just how much truth is stranger than fiction. Are you guys ready for the shit?
Hit me.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely...
Yeah, cheater. Now it's time for Stranger Than Fiction, and I still can't find the difference between the location of the camera and the microphone. Okay. Gentlemen, you know how this is played. I'm going to propose a question to each of you. You each answer whether it's true or false. And I steal all your points at the end and win, just because hey, I'm better than you and you try to kill me this week. Jack, question for you. The recurring time mechanic in Majora's Mask was heavily inspired by the German flick Run Lola Run.
False.
It's true, buddy.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I'm not aware of this Run Lola Run.
Oh, really?
Me either. I'm not aware of it either.
I'm sure if you saw, like, the trailer or something for it, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I've seen that trailer about 3 billion fucking times.
Oh, okay.
Matt, in the video game Super Mario World, video game programmer Toshiko Nakago hid a marriage proposal to his soon-to-be wife, which is in a secret area that leads you to a chain chomp who delivers the proposal after talking to him several times.
False.
Quit looking at my phone, you asshole. Jack.
Well, don't hold it up to the webcam. And
Final Fantasy arpeggio theme that's been in every game. It's called Prelude.
Yeah.
Was written in 5 minutes.
I'm gonna say yes. True.
Jack for 2 points. Alrighty. Mr. Matt. Let's go with Monopoly. In 2013, Save Your Token campaign, Monopoly fans voted they get rid of the iron token and replace it with a cat. So that is to say...
True, and I don't know why they would get rid of the iron.
It is very true, and they got the hell rid of the iron. Replaced it with a cat.
I like the iron.
I like the iron
Cat.
too. Cat.
The iron was one of my favorites.
Okay, so 1 point over here, 2 points to Jack. Jack, in the original Doom, the Doom Marine's face was modeled after square-jawed actor Rob Lowe.
True.
It's fake, I just like saying Rob Lowe. And, Mr. Matt. Nintendo of America used to try out prototype versions of games by silently adding them to 10-in-1 arcade cabinets that they would place in Chuck E. Cheese stores that they purchased themselves.
Oh my gosh.
Do I need to re-go over the facts there?
That's a lot of detail, and you could have changed up any one of those details.
Nintendo of America, Chuck E. Cheese stores that they bought, they would try out prototypes of games, and those ROMs are still being found today. There's versions of Dr. Mario and several other games that were in beta testing in live stores and Chuck E. Cheese's that Nintendo of America personally bought for this whole creepy trial purpose. It kind of leads a lot of credence to the theories of Polybius, the conspiracy theory laden arcade cabinet that was part of like the MK Ultra program.
Did you just give him that one?
No, he answered.
Oh, I didn't hear the answer. My bad.
He answered with false.
I did say false.
Yeah, he said false. So you're still at 2 points. You're at 1.
No, I'm. Oh wait, that was my second question. Okay.
Is that your second question or third question?
I don't know. We need to.
We need to get running counters here. Yeah.
Tied up.
You had
because
save
Jack's
a token.
Had 3. Jack's had 3. He missed his third.
Yeah.
So it's 2-2. We're tied up.
That's 2-2. Okay, but we've each been given 3 questions now.
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll need to do a tiebreaker here. Gentlemen, there are 2 choices to this question, and you each get to choose. And if you win, you'll get 4 billion D points. Street Fighter 2. In Street Fighter 2, Ken was programmed a slight bit different than Ryu.
Is this a true false, sir?
So Ken and Ryu are your 2 answers to this.
Okay.
Ken was programmed slightly different than Ryu. Ryu programmed slightly different to Ken. However, during development, they decided that they didn't want to add that mechanic into the game and removed half the code, but forgot completely about the other half, making one of these 2 Shuriken brothers or Dragon Punch brothers or whatever they're called significantly stronger than the other. In Street Fighter 2, which one is stronger, Ken or Ryu?
Ryu.
Ken.
And 40 billion points to Jack. I always thought Ryu was stronger because I just liked him for some reason, but no, Ken is hands down built stronger than Ryu.
Really?
No other differences other than Ken's stronger.
Because I used to use Ken all the time. I didn't really ever notice he was stronger, but I always preferred Ken over Ryu. So
no, he's physically tougher. Indeed.
Woo.
So, gentlemen, I was going to ask if you had any wins this week.
I has a win.
Show us your stupid win, dum-dum.
Oh, it's not in here anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I finally got a Switch and Mario Odyssey, and that game is a blast. I'm loving the hell out of it.
I only recently started actually observing the trailers for the game, and the mechanics look really fun. I don't know, I just haven't been compelled to play Super Mario games since childhood, I guess.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about that game is the fact that they brought in a lot of the old school retro style parts of the game. So there's a lot of times in the middle of a 3D world, you go through a tunnel and then you're in a 2D world.
Nice.
Like the old school Mario games. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
That is really cool.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I've actually heard a nice fan theory that Super Mario Odyssey is actually Mario's heroin trip. Princess Peach finally ran off with Bowser permanently, and this is him going through the withdrawals from his heroin, like, near overdose after. So he's going through, like, instead of the desert world, you've got this ice desert world where things are colder, lonelier, and then you've got these, like, flashbacks to the 2D world and then also the 3D world, and, like, so...
And he's probably still wearing that bathing suit with his nipples out when he's in that ice desert, just because he's going through such hell.
Then he finds out this whole entire time, I just imagine he's probably coming off of, like, also, a crazy shroom trip, because you don't ever see mushrooms in that game, so you're not feeding off mushrooms. Then you find yourself in, in the middle of what looks like New York, which is New Donk City. So.
I said heroin. It is. He's finally giving up mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I don't know how
because the first Mario game, you find yourself in an actual city with humans and, like, taxi drivers and stuff in one part, and that's New Donk City.
Huh. New Dong?
Donk.
Damn
D-O-N-K.
it. I was really hoping New Dong. That's awesome,
It's
man.
almost the same thing, but...
Matt, do you have any wins?
Hey, yeah, so every now and then I start thinking about people's acting abilities, and I always come back as my prime example for someone who has great chops and can go from one role to another and just sell the hell out of it, to Ewan Rion. Those unfamiliar with the actor's name, this is Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Or the little scared kid from
Misfits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And so I had no idea. I thought he was going to be just a one-role kind of actor his entire life when I saw him in Misfits when I was younger. And then he makes that appearance in Game of Thrones, and just in, like, 5 different scenes, he does different roles. The first one, you see it in his face. He's, like, selling his entire role with expressions and just a few lines of dialogue where he saves someone and he's concerned and he's the bleeding heart that's like, get out of here now, let me, and then he comes back later and he saves him again, but he's a ruthless murderer and he's like, no, I'm a soldier. I can kill if I need to. I'm confident. And, like, you're just seeing all of this. And then, I don't know, we're probably past the spoiler mark for Game of Thrones, but he shows he can change from that to something just that, like, I would see him in my nightmares. I could see him in my nightmares as a very intimidating figure. And that contrast to the 2 main roles he plays in Misfits, which one is the confident superhero and another is the just recluse that is completely unaccepted by the world. He's creepy. You think he's going to blow up a school, and he sells the hell out of every role he plays. I went through and I checked out some of those scenes those weeks, and this week I was so impressed. So I'm going to make that my win.
Nice. I actually have 2 wins. Earlier this week, I stumbled onto a band that's been around for probably since 2012 at this point. It's a young band with twin brothers and their, I believe, younger brother and a friend of theirs is the drummer. I haven't really just fallen head over heels in love with any new band in probably over a decade. I'm that old man now who says, oh, back in my day, music was good. And I guess that's me catering to my own interest, because the band's name's Greta Van Fleet, and it is kind of a modern homage to 70s hard rock. They write original songs that are distinctly influenced by that 70s style, and the lead singer himself, I mean, he could go ahead and replace Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin, and I would not fucking know the difference. He has got an insane voice, insane talent. He knows how to use his voice, and it is definitely heavily inspired by the sounds of Zeppelin. So Greta Van Fleet, they're just a small, young band from Michigan. I think they're the oldest member's now 21, and they've been doing this for about 5 years now. So check them out. Their single's playing everywhere these days. It's called Highway Song. Super good. I really loved it. Maybe pumped up all week. Listening to it just like gets me hyper. It's cool. My other win is specifically just to piss off Jack, and that's Laser Team 2, which I had no idea was being developed. Just got a notification when it was released.
Is it?
It's on YouTube Red. Watched it.
Oh, I'm doing that tonight. What the fuck? I didn't know it was... Huh?
Do you have YouTube Red?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. They silently launched it the night before Thanksgiving.
Son of a bitch.
Watch it without you, Jack.
You fucking asshole. God, I hate you.
How is it?
I was a little concerned. It's great because I love those boys. Rooster Teeth was awesome. And I think they're amazing. It's just, it wasn't everything I'd hoped it to be. I also kind of fell asleep towards the end. So to be fair and honest, I need to rewatch it before I give my final critique. Still gold, and there's a lot of FaceTime with Gus in
awesome.
The first half of the film, at least. So that makes me happy. Gotta have mad love for Gus. So, yeah. Other than that, I wanted to say thank you guys for tuning in and enjoying our show, and that's me being presumptuous. I have no idea if you enjoy it or not. If you don't, you have some feedback for us that's maybe kindly worded. Never mind. Reach out to us on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook. We're all there. If you need those social links, you can find them all at loseaturn.com. That's where you can go to find all the fun things that we have for you. Other than that, thank you guys for joining me.
Hey, thank y'all so much. I had a blast. Come back next week, and we will be one step closer to Mattcast. Come on. You don't have to be that dramatic. It's just a knife with leather over it.
Until next week.
Sooner or later, the dice land on the table.